Warning: the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hi, and welcome to Through Kaleidoscope Eyes, a weekly show where we tell stories of unsung heroes one at a time within the LGBTQIA plus community and allies. We will also be discussing various topics with each special guest. I'm your host, Lacrosse Ortiz. Okay, hi everybody, and thank you for coming. I'm your host, Lacrosse Ortiz, and this is Through Kaleidoscope Eyes. This week, it's so funny because we're telling stories about people's story, and I'm bringing you a musician and a storyteller to the show. So let's just chime on in and bring in BrightHawk and say hello to BrightHawk. Hi.
Hey, Lacrosse, great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Same. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. It's a beautiful day in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. I'm jealous. I'm like, it's hot. It's hot here in Pennsylvania. Well, no, actually, it's been nice, but now it's hot. It's starting to heat up. So this is going to be an interesting story because you're a storyteller. So let's begin. Let's begin. Like, how did this all start about? Like, how did you start about?
How did I start?
Yeah.
Well, once upon a time, I'll tell you how I got my name, BrightHawk.
That'd be cool.
Once upon a time, a long time ago, not that long ago, I was born. I was born a bright light, born on a very dark, long night, winter solstice.
Oh.
Winter solstice. I was born at 20 to 12 midnight on 12/20. Ta-da!
There you go.
And I was welcomed into a family that already had a hell of a lot of children. I'm number 7. I have 5 sisters and 1 brother.
Wow.
And I grew up in Southern California, precocious and outgoing. And, you know, I had my 1 brother, and I definitely was one of those kids who I loved being outside with my dad and my brother. And when they had their shirts off, I'd have my shirt off. And then at a certain age, when you become of school age, all of a sudden you had to keep your shirt on. And I was like, but why? They don't have to keep their shirt on.
Right.
So from a very early age, that really struck me as, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Why can't we just all run around, be free? I had a lot of freedom, but that was something that was the first time I think I became aware of gender.
Right.
And that I was in a different body. All of a sudden, I had to become aware of my body. And when you're that young, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
You just want to be a kid. So I grew up in Southern California. I went to film school. I went to school in Southern California, Cal State Long Beach. And I became a storyteller in a way that was, I felt like a calling, really felt like a calling. After I had graduated from college and was working in my first career in Hollywood, at a certain point, that job came to an end, and I had an opportunity to go to Africa.
Oh.
And so that truly felt like a calling as well. And so I, packed up my life and got my passport and visa and said, I'll see you. And this might go longer than 3 months. Just saying.
Right.
It could go 6 months, but I promise I'll be back by the end of the year, by Christmas, by my birthday, basically. Right. And so I took off to Africa, and it was one of those moments in life where before I had become part of the delegation that I was going to participate with in this adventure in Africa, we spent a month on safari in Botswana. You were asked to write an essay. Why do you want to go to Africa? What do you think you will do? I got in the flow and I started writing about, I want to tell stories and I want to travel and I want to bring the stories back to my community. And I really didn't know what I was saying. I was just flowing. And then later, years later, I saw this essay that I wrote. whoa.
That was almost
Well, what
prophetic.
you write down, man? I made it happen. And
Yeah.
so I did. Ended up spending 6 months in Africa. It, of course, changed my life, opened my mind, and blew open my heart.
Wow.
And I always encourage any person anywhere from, 15 to 35, if you have a chance to travel,
Oh,
because wow, it's just that it opens you up and your soul into experiencing the world in a completely new way. And having an opportunity to do that was priceless. And finding a way to keep extending my visa and finding amazing jobs that I was able to do and people I was able to work with. And when I came back from that, indeed, I had this desire to tell stories, but I didn't have a venue. I didn't have a way or what have you. And I got back to Southern California and I had this burning desire inside of me and nowhere to really channel it.
right.
And, I had done the Hollywood thing and I felt like I don't see myself going back into Hollywood. It feels like been there, done that. And all of a sudden, an opportunity came up to take a job on the East Coast. And I went to go work at MIT at the Sloan School of Business. And it was just, I don't know. It was, again, one of those times where life goes, you're going over here, plop you
Right.
down in a new place, and you go, oh my God. Cambridge was, I like to say, I had more culture shock living in Cambridge, Massachusetts, than I did living in Africa for 6 months.
Wow. Wow. That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me. The East Coast can be vicious. It's a jungle. It's literally a jungle out there. It's brutal.
And they would talk about Hollywood as another planet. And I'm like, my planet, those are my people. So it was super discombobulating. And I was like, why am I here? What happened? I thought I had such good instincts, such intuition about where to be. And yet all of this feels so, what have I done?
Right.
And so I tried to make the most of the moment, and I got mastery with the job that I was in at MIT, which was very challenging. And at a certain point I was like, I'm done doing this level of challenge. I'm done with y'all. And I had an opportunity to go to it was called Drumming the Sacred Fire. And this guy, Paolo Mattioli, had a business called African Percussion, and he was going to bring in all of these different African drums. Most of them were called djembes, but there was dunduns and all sorts of drums. And it was in Southern California, and I was like, I am supposed to go there. And when you're supposed to do something, the universe has a way of lining stuff up. So literally, without a lot of finagling, just sort of announcing my intention, a plane ticket fell out of the sky, lands in my lap. I have a ticket to California. I go back. I do this program, this 1 week camp, and learn the 5 sacred rhythms. I learn all about the drum, and I suddenly feel like a lotus that has emerged from the mud and blossomed as a flower and went, this is how I become who woke up in Africa. Because I was literally in Cambridge going, well, what happened?
Yeah.
How do I be that person that woke up in Africa? I don't get it. And suddenly the drum and the storytelling started. Sorry, that's my
That's
dog.
okay.
Started coming together in a way that I don't even remember where the thought came from. It just, the two started to merge.
Right.
And I realized for me, this is it. This is the vehicle. This is the time. And so I looked around, and literally the Children's Hospital in Boston, they had a roster of performers, like a schedule. But the hospital across the street from my office, the Cambridge Hospital, they didn't have anybody. And there was a whole floor dedicated to the children, and the Cambridge Hospital was a psych hospital run by Harvard Medical School. And so I went over and I talked to them, and they were like, "You want to come and do something? Yeah, whatever you want." And so I recognized that was my training, my beginning of giving back to community, recognizing I was going into a community and a space where I had no right as a performer to expect them to even pay attention. That
Right.
I had to show up 1000%. Nobody, and have no expectation about, I didn't know what their backgrounds were. I didn't know what their stories. It didn't matter. All I knew was, if you're going to do this as an artist, you have to show up. So I did. I started learning there's a difference between telling a story and reading a story.
Yeah.
And I decided I am not a reader. I don't want to be your library reader. I want to tell you. I want to enact it. I want to create it. I want you to get
Right.
with it with me. And that was what I saw children respond to.
Right.
And then what I would do is, and I had my drum, and I was learning all different kinds of rhythms and songs that went with it. And I noticed how powerful the rhythms and the vibration, like just the vibe of a djembe is powerful. It's potent, isn't it? And one day I show up, and I never know, am I going to see the same kids I saw last week? Maybe, maybe not. You might only see a child once. Whew, kind of break your heart a little bit if you saw the same child all month. You didn't know how long they were there. And these moments would happen where I had learned different djembe rhythms. So for example, I studied West African music for more than 20 years, 25 years.
Okay.
And so the West African rhythms of the djembe, they come from the people of the Malianka people, right? And of course the British and the French were absolutely horrific at carving up Africa and ignoring the ancient tribal lines and the way people related. Instead, they carved it up the way a realtor, making money, trying to look at resources. But that whole West African region is of the Malianka people. And so it's Guinea and Burkina Faso and the Ivory Coast and Mali and Senegal. And each one of them is a rich, rich rainbow of music. And some of the songs will be exclusive to one of those. And many of them will be like, all have those core rhythms, but have their flavor. And so I learned this one rhythm. It was early in my career. It's called Manjani. A Manjani it's a very strong rhythm. It's a very masculine rhythm. And it's very much, if you're going to do something, do your best, give it your all, right? Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the energy that it brings. And I start playing this rhythm, and these two little boys, maybe 10, 11 years old, start dancing together, like confronting each other and like meeting each other's energy and the moves. And they're just spontaneous. And it was like, yes, keep going. Yes, yes. And I'm like, I don't know what is happening, but something bigger than all of us is I want more of this.
Right.
And so every Thursday night I would show up and I would play drums and I would tell stories. And so Wednesday night I'd be in the library searching, going through the stacks, trying to figure out what am I going to tell them tomorrow night.
Right.
And I just found the stories that I wanted to tell. And of course I found a ton of stories I did not want to tell. So many traditions and cultures have stories that are meant to scare children, so you will behave. They have trickster stories that listen to me or else. They have life is hard and filled with suffering. I had one of these African storybooks that was how the zebra got his stripes. It is not nice. How the lion got its roar. It's really mean. It's like, I don't want to tell these stories. There's enough suffering in the world. So, of course, what happens? You have to find the stories you want to tell. You have to write the stories you want to tell. And that's how my book, The Dancing Hippo, eventually got created, was this story evolved so many times over 20 years.
Oh,
And how much did it evolve? Okay, so I'm super proud of the fact that this is a gender-free book. There are no pronouns in it. When I started telling this story 20 years ago, Mvu, who's the hippo, Mvu means hippo in Shona language from Zimbabwe. But at the very beginning, I called it Henrietta Hippo. I didn't know there was a whole Henrietta Hippo series. I
right.
had to find out, no, you can't use somebody else's alliteration. And when I met Hollis and when I started really paying attention to how kids were changing in the times that I was a storyteller, I wanted to have less and less and less gender. I wanted every kid to be able to see themselves in every story. That just seemed sensible to me, especially if it was something fantastic, that came from an animal perspective. Every kid should be able to relate with that. So when I got to the point of publishing our book in Seahorse Publications, our publishing company, which is dedicated to gender non-binary publishing. We also published Hollis's book, The Divine Androgen.
Right. Yes.
We realized how many people came up to us and said, "Oh, what a relief to have a storybook that's not more, princess blah blah."
Right.
And these storybooks that are so gendered and so role and rote specific, where it's like, I remember loving Pippi Longstocking, and I want, adventure, and why does adventure get gendered? That didn't make sense to me.
Right.
But that's and where I grew up in Southern California, I have a Mexican Spanish ancestry in addition to the Irish, and I found that very confusing. When I was in school, needing to learn Spanish and had to take 2 years of it, I stopped wanting to learn the language because the language genders everything.
Yes.
Like,
this
doesn't make any sense. And I remember just having a fit, being like, I don't want to learn this stupid language if this is what it's going to do. And now I'm trying to learn it. And now I'm sit with Duolingo and try to get it, because I think it's important to try to learn a language, period. Any language, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Appreciate cultures, appreciate languages. But I remember having that, like, wow, this just really is crazy to me.
Yeah, seeing the whole with the Spanish, the fluctuation, ella, that's female, el, male, and it's. I mean, I know Spanish, but it's
why is a dress vestido ends in an O, but it's a dress?
Right.
If you're going to go
be a
all
vestida, right? It should be a vestida. It's like, make up my mind here. What do you want?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have this clip that I want everybody to see. It's this clip of your book. So let's pop that on. I want everybody to see this. This is really cute. I saw this earlier. That is just so cute. The artwork is amazing. That is some amazing artwork. I have to give credit. I mean, it's definitely, I'm thinking that that might be something I'd like for my daughter. That'd be a really
Oh,
cute book,
yeah,
you
Amanda
know.
Moore, she did an amazing job. Amanda Moore. And I knew she was the one. She was literally the third artist I consulted for the book, and we were both at a festival in Massachusetts, and I was performing in the gallery, and then I later walked through the gallery space where she was showing her work, and literally her artwork like winked at me, and the bird chirped, and I was like, "You're my artist, please." What would it take?
Yeah, exactly,
and
exactly.
and she literally like delivered the book to me, the her art, and then delivered a baby. And she had
Wow.
her baby Hazel is now like forever part of our story, and she's just such a cute little bean.
Aw.
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah, her artwork is just that's
It's,
part of
I
what
just
she
like, I
does.
just thought it's just so beautiful. It's so well done. Look at
Yeah,
that. That's just
yeah,
beautiful.
and the detail, and you
Yeah.
feel immersed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of the ebook is it's got sound effects and
Oh,
music.
neat.
And you heard in the trailer me playing the hand
The,
pan,
yes.
and that's a lot of fun. When I'm doing it live, it becomes a very interactive show because that's really what I'm all about. Is
Right.
I'm not about kids have to sit down and be still. They
Right.
quiet is helpful, but they don't need to be. Actually, I prompt them on making animal noises, and I get
Right.
everybody dancing the hippo dance trance.
That's
you know,
great.
and I get everybody chirping and making monkey noises, and it's like
Aw.
I want it to be as fun and interactive as possible because I feel like that's how we all learn. That's how the essence of the story is about taking a risk, shining your light, being who you are. It is a bit of a risk,
Yeah.
and but the truth of the matter is it's the best risk you can take because there's nothing better than being who you are and doing a hippo
Right.
dance trance. So
Right. Right.
that's it
That's,
in a
yeah.
nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, I laugh because like my grandfather, like this was something that was handed down from generation to generation to generation, storytelling. You know, my
Mhm.
grandfather did it, his father did it, you know. My mother was a storyteller. I don't know so much. I think I just tell stories just, you know, like, oh my God, this happened to me. But to me, to tell the story, okay, I went down to the corner store and I bought a Pepsi. That's boring. Like, why don't you make the walk to the corner store like an adventure? Oh man, I was walking down the store and this person down the street, you should have seen this, and blah 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 blah. Okay, maybe it is a little exaggerated, just a little bit, but it's a
Nobody needs
good
to know.
story, you know. So I mean, I don't, I think people shortchange storytelling because it is such an art form. It is such a beautiful art form, and it needs to be brought back because people are so stuck on like, they like the stories. If you're watching a movie, that's a story, but getting back to that old fashioned, you know, like coming from your heart, deep, intense storytelling, it's just, I feel like I get scared that it's an art that could be dying out. I mean, do you feel the same?
I do. I do. In fact, in a past life, I worked in corporate and I
Mm,
worked as an engineer. And I, one day, a colleague calls me up and it's lunchtime and she's like, "Hey, I know you're a storyteller. Do you think, could you come up with a class on storytelling for our corporate leaders because
mm.
none of them seem to know how to tell a story to save themselves." And I
Oh.
was like, "You are speaking to the choir. I am so fed up." They would have these all hands meetings, 300, 500 people. Oh,
Right.
think of the amount of money when you take everybody's salary and how much that 1 hour that person is taking from the company, and you
Right.
get up there and you're twisting papers and you never make a point. And basically what I heard them say was, "I know we're asking you a lot from you. It sucks right now, but you're going to need to work harder. So tell your partners you will be coming home late and may suck to be you, but thanks very much. Okay, everybody, you're off. Go."
Right.
Oh, do you have any idea the opportunity you're pissing away? I just feel like we
Wow.
all are storytellers,
Right.
just like we all have the potential to be leaders.
Right.
And if you're a leader, and you are a leader of your life, my friends, you owe it to yourself and to everyone around you to become a good storyteller. And so I created a program called Storytelling in Business: How to Use Stories to Engage, Motivate, and Inspire. The short version of this story: people walk in, they are in leadership boot camp. So they're how to run better metrics, how to be a better leader, how to do this, how to do that, all types of different presentations. And then at the third or fourth day they've been at this, we show up. Storytelling in Business. And this is the look. Oh my God. Storytelling in Business? What do you think? We're 5? And they're doing the go ahead, whatever. And I get going and I start challenging people and talking to people and asking questions. And I have a colleague who I'm working with, and we are moving and shaking, and they are on their feet, and they're like, wow. By the end of the day, they're like, oh my God, this was the best day I've ever had in this company. I can't even believe it. You're like, wow, I didn't have to put any crack in your coffee.
Exactly.
Look at you. Do you see how energized you are?
Right.
And so vice presidents were finding out, hey, could you come over and do my group? And it was a trip. It suddenly became the job that was not my job. That became the best part of my job.
Right.
And it was the art of storytelling cannot be forgotten. And if you're trying to win a case, you're trying to convince somebody of a business case, commit to a project, you have to lead a team of people that do not report to you. Right. You better have a compelling story that makes them go, we're with you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I love to see happen. I love when you ask people to start telling their story, and you're sitting in a story circle and everybody starts telling something meaningful. And by the end of that hour or whatever amount of time you have, all of a sudden you're starting to form a community.
Yeah.
Because you told me some stuff and I told you some stuff, and I can relate with you now. And now, oh, wow. Next time I have the problem you mentioned, I'm calling you.
Right.
And we save each other some suffering, and we impart our wisdom. I believe everyone has an opportunity to be a wisdom keeper and sharer. And so just in a nutshell, being able to help your audience, what does a good story have? It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end, it has a reason and a point. And if you didn't get to the point, you simply use the phrase, the reason I'm telling you this is because I hope my experience helps save you some time next time you're in that experience, or whatever the hell your story is. And it doesn't take but a minute or two with a friend to say, wait, I want to tell this story, but before I tell it, help me know what the point of that, what's the kicker. So it's not, I went to the store and got a bottle of Pepsi. It's, I went on an adventure. Exactly. And that's what a storyteller does. I mean, you can study Joseph Campbell, you can study the hero's journey, you can study there's so many resources available to us now.
Right.
And that's what I've always say is basically, this isn't rocket science. Use whatever resources are available to you. Hollis and I are always really good at bouncing ideas off of each other and helping cultivate, like, it'll be more interesting if you put this at this time.
Right.
The hardest thing all of us do is edit ourselves, what belongs in the story and what is just.
Yeah.
And pay attention to when you're losing them. Read your audience. If they start messing around with their phone, you can literally call them out. Yeah. I'm sorry, I went on too long. I can see I'm losing.
Right.
We feel human again when we recognize how each other is experiencing the moment.
Yeah.
You have to earn the right to tell your story. It's both of us, our time.
Right.
You can't just take my time and not ask for it.
Right.
There's an agreement we have there that if you take my time, you're going to make it worth my while, right? And we've all been to the, oh my God, that was so awful movie. There's 2 hours of your life you're never getting back.
You're never getting back. Yeah. I've said that.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So I absolutely 100% hope people share their stories and take a moment to figure out how to do that in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I mean, that's basically why I had actually started this podcast, because I wanted people to tell their stories. It's not just, because I believe each life is unique. So we may have similar circumstances, but each life is unique, and each life has a right to, I don't care what your story is at this point, like with anybody, I'm like, they're like, oh, can I come on your show? Sure, you can come on my show. It's your story, and it's unique, and nobody else has that story. And it's important for each person to be able to tell it. But also, like you're saying, to say it in a positive manner, to what are the lessons in your life that you could share for other people? It's really important. So,
And you never, and the thing that I always come back to is you never know the impact you're going to have.
right.
I have a quote at the bottom of my signature line that says, "Tell me a fact, I'll learn. Tell me a truth, I'll believe. Tell me a story, and it'll live in my heart forever."
Right. Right. Exactly.
And you never know the impact your story is going to have on somebody else.
Right.
That
Right.
that and when stuff comes back, you're like, "Whoa, whoa."
Right. Right. All right. Well, we're at 7:30. We have to do our little commercial break,
Okay.
because I definitely have another video that I want to post when we come back.
Yeah.
So
And I want to,
everybody, yeah, everybody stick around, because you're going to want to watch this one. All right, let me get back over here. See, it doesn't take me long to get lost here. We'll be right back.
you're great. Thanks so much, Lacrosse.
Oh, thank you.
WLFE Digital Broadcast Network is on TV. You can watch all of our shows on WLFE-DB.com. Check out our channels: Paranormal View for all of your paranormal type shows, LGBTQ Friends for all of our LGBTQ shows, Variety Unlimited for all other shows. It runs 24/7 right on WLFE-DB.com. You'll even catch the lives, all in one place. Never miss an episode, past or future. WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows. Search for your favorite shows like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Paratalk Radio, Step into the Paranormal, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and more. Now you won't miss an episode. Remember, follow Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Make sure you subscribe and follow your favorite WLFE-DB radio shows. You can find our shows where you listen to your favorite podcasts, like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. WLFE-DB Radio is looking for podcasts to join our family. You don't have to fit any strict genre. We're a plethora of shows. If you're looking to jump on a growing network, then contact us at WLFEDBradio@gmail.com.
Wow, Amazon Music just got a whole lot better. Your favorite shows from WLFE-DB Radio can now be found there. Yes, we are on Amazon Music, found under podcasts. Download the app, find podcasts, and search all of your favorite shows. Shows like Where's My Sage, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and much more. Now you don't have to miss an episode ever. Amazon Music is WLFE-DB radified.
WLFE-DB Digital Network are engaging in the safe space. What is safe space? A safe space is a supporting and affirming environment for individuals within the LGBTQ+ community. Each podcast displaying the Safe Space logo will have resources available on hand for those in need without judgment. Here at WLFE-DB Digital Network, we care, we listen, we support, we understand.
Okay, and we're back. I wanted to actually show some of these comments. I wonder who that is.
My beloved.
Yep. Here's Andrea. Hello, beautiful people. Hello. Tracy, hi family. Oh, well, my wife, she had to quote me, it's a jungle out there.
Absolutely.
But also from my wife, Catherine Ortiz. BrightHawk has an amazing voice for storytelling. I want to be able to go down all of these. Here's Andrea. You are such a beautiful soul, and I love your story.
Oh, thank
And
you.
here's Sandy. Sandy always comes in. Thank you always so much, everybody, for the support when you come into this show. My son asked me so many questions about when I was younger, and I decided to write my memoirs and give them to him one each week. That is an
That's
amazing,
awesome.
beautiful idea.
That is awesome.
Oh, love BrightHawk story time, and drumming is amazing. Oh, she rocks the world with her rhythm. Facts.
I'd love to tell you a couple stories about drumming.
Oh, yes, because that's where I wanted to go. I have this other video that I wanted to post. It's about 4 minutes long. Did you want me to play it and then we could get into that story?
Let me share a few things,
Okay.
and then we'll go there.
Perfect.
So I mentioned that storytelling, drumming, and spirituality, they all kind of converged at the same time.
Right.
And it's no surprise now when looking back, I look at it and I go, oh, yeah, that was when Saturn return was happening. So that juicy time in your late 20s when life is like, so are you on task? Are you doing what you came here to do?
Right.
I'm waiting. And all of a sudden, finding the drumming community, having a chance to go to different drumming events. So I'll tell you a little story. So I don't know. Have you ever heard of the group Zap Mama? They are a wonderful a cappella group. Fabulous music. If you ever have a chance, look up Zap Mama. Okay. One night they're doing a concert in Davis Square in Cambridge. And all of the folks that I started playing drums with in Earth Drum Council, everybody was at that concert. So the intermission comes and everybody's hanging out and everybody's talking and they're all talking about how they're so excited. We're all going to Starwood and we're setting up a camp in Starwood. And I was like, somebody turns to me and they go, so you going? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. And they go, oh, well, Starwood is the summer festival. And it's been going on. At that point, it had been going on for like 20 years. And this year, I think they're celebrating their 40th year. And, here it is. Jennifer has a space in her car. She has room for you. You should totally go with Jennifer. It's a long drive, so you'll have plenty of time. You'll get to know each other. And, you got to go. So I'm like, I guess I got to go. So I call up Earth Drum Council. You got one more for me in the kitchen. And what do I need to bring? And got my drum and I got my tent. And I get in the car and we get into this long ranging 8-hour drive to upstate New York, Jamestown, New York. And the conversation starts happening about, oh, so you into guys? Are you into girls? And I start having this, I think I'm really into humans. I think I'm into love is love. I think if you fall in love with somebody at a soul level, the packaging doesn't really matter. Right. I really I'm not even sure why I've cared about that before. And I just remember my head kind of opening to, I wonder who's going to be the next one in my world, because I think I'm thinking differently than I used to think. And sure enough, I was.
Right.
And of course, no sooner do you say I'm open to the possibility, what shows up in your life,
Right.
And so the drumming world was igniting my entire being, and I was questioning everything, which was super fun. And the drumming community also happened to be part of the pagan community. So going to fire circles and going to festivals, pagan spirituality seemed to have a place at the table for everyone. It seemed way less judgmental than what I grew up with in the Catholic Church, and that there was space and opportunity and their resonance with the earth and the earth's natural ways. And I was like, yeah, this totally makes sense to me. And in the meantime, I'm very committed to learning the drum, learning the path of the West African music. And if you've ever played the djembe, if you've ever been to an African dance class, well, the djembe, we call it the bench of players, the djembe players, there's a testosterone pit if there ever was one. Yeah? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
And, the big boys get out, and it's all about this very masculine energy. And I was very committed to learning. And so I would show up. And I kept noticing, like, I'm the only one there, right? The one girl, the one woman, the one, fill in the blank. And I was like, okay, well, I'm here to learn. So bring it. And I'm at my, I don't know, second or third Starwood, and Yaya Diallo is there. Yaya Diallo is amazing master Malian drummer from Mali. Okay.
Wow.
And you have to imagine this is a summer festival. There are 1,000 people with hand drums listening to his every move, and the energy is amazing, and it's tight, and it's beautiful, and it's just profound. And I'm just so thrilled to be in the middle of it. I'm in the front, and I'm with my peeps, and it's like, wow. And after he's put us through our paces, he looks down and he goes, "You." Me? You? Yeah, come up here. And the one next to you. And so me and my friend calls us up to the stage, and he stands us next to him. We're standing there with our djembes on, and we're trying to just be chill and not like start shaking, knee knocking and that kind of thing. And he says, "I want to say something about women drummers." And we're like, what's he going to say? Because there's like a thing about women drummers, and everybody knows it. And it's like, it's the classic, right? You have to be twice as good and show up twice as well, right?
Right.
And so we're just standing there, and he's like, "I want to say something about women drummers, and I want you to know that my talents and gifts as a drummer come from my mother."
Ooh. Ooh.
He says, "I want you to understand that when I was growing up in the village in Mali, when I was a little one, before I was initiated, my mother would take me with her to the drum clan." And you've heard of secret societies in Africa. There's a reason, because people are initiated. They know things. You don't just give that away to anyone. And so before he was initiated as a young boy, he was allowed to attend the women's drum circles. And in Mali, there's the village, and then there's the forest. And they would go out into the forest, and they would have these powerful ceremonies. And he got to witness it. And he said, that's when all the rhythms were poured into me. But when I became a young man and I was initiated, I was no longer allowed in the women's drum circle. And I'd be in the village, and I'd hear the most amazing rhythms, and I'd want to grab my drum and go run out there. And then I'd realize where it was coming from in the forest, and that I could not go. So if you have any question whatsoever, let me be perfectly clear. Women are drummers. And I was just, and the two of us are just like, now you can play that little piece of tape.
There you go. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. It's
yeah.
Like
go ahead.
No, it's. I was about to say it's like the patriarchy everywhere in one way, shape, or form, and the exclusion of women. Or not even so much the exclusion, but not the acknowledgement of their art and in society, which is just whatever. I can't even deal with that.
Yeah. And I was aware of it, and yet didn't play into it, because I felt like I was coming at a time when there was a number of women coming in, and, people like Ubaka Hill had paved the road. I mean, she was amazing. And, for Yaya to take the time and bless us up was profound, because there were so many times it would be like, how come I'm the only one here, or the only white person here? And then Yaya addressed that too. He said, sometimes people ask me about how come there are so many white people in your class? And he says, I am profoundly thankful for who shows up to learn. And what is unfortunate is that our people, our generation, the African Americans and the African youth that he was teaching or available to teach were not showing up. And so he was like, I'm so thrilled that you care enough to show up and to learn and to study, and that you teach what I have taught you, and that it was honorific. It would there. We weren't in, honestly, the language of cultural appropriation 20 years ago wasn't there.
Right.
But you best believe we were very honorific. We were super respectful. We were super eager to learn, to understand, to deepen, and not to just take the drum and do whatever the heck he felt like doing.
Right.
Right. I appreciate the enthusiasm people have for the drums.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
appreciate what it takes for any artist to learn their craft.
Absolutely. Cultural appropriation, like nowadays, it's there's such a fine line, and like me, like being Latino, like being Puerto Rican, there are so many cultures that makes me up. It's like, and sometimes, like, I have Irish in me, I'll pull to that. I have African in me, I'll pull to that. I have Spaniard, I have Middle Eastern, I have all these different cultures. And at some point in time, it's like I pull to it, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not dark enough to do this. I'm not white enough to do that. I'm not, where do I go? And that's a hard place to be, and the truth is, a lot of it is getting lost. A lot of these arts are getting lost. And so how are you going to be upset with somebody who's willing to come in and step up and do it if your own people aren't doing it? You can't tell them no. How are you going to preserve it? It has to be preserved.
That's it.
And that's how I look at it. I think cultural appropriation to me is when you do it without honor and respect. When you do it just to showcase yourself, like, in other words, but when you honor it and you respect it, and this has become a part of your life, that's not cultural appropriation. So I don't know. It's a fine line nowadays, sadly.
And I just want to honor the little piece of performance you're going to show was a wonderful group called Women of the World. And that's exactly what they're all about, is honoring the cultures of the world. And it comes through these 4 beautiful women. Oh my goodness. They're just amazing. And they invited me up on stage to add to their little piece. So I hope you enjoy it. It was so much fun.
Here we go. Check this out.
Feel it in your bones, universe, universe. Won't you help me believe in my soul, universe, universe. Won't you help me let my heart grow, universe, universe. Won't you help me believe in my soul? bones and your skin. Feel it in your bones and your feet. Feel it in your bones and your feet. Feel it in your bones.
Oh, I needed a cigarette for that one. I was like, look, I'm over here like, yes. I said, I'm feeling some tribal stuff in me right now, Lord.
That's great.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Well, it's fun to share. I have one story left to share about
Of course.
how we met, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm doing this corporate gig, right? And Hollis and I have met and become friends. And I'm on one of those little. There's a little parkway where there's a pond and the ducks and stuff. And I'm walking around this parkway, and Hollis is so excited, telling me about this drag king competition and the drag race. It's like drag race with RuPaul, and I'm like,
Yeah.
walking right by me. I have no idea what they're talking about, but I know how to read energy, and they're very excited, telling me about this performance they did called the Masochism Tango. And I'm like, wow, it sounds like you had a lot of fun. I'm like, no, I do. So Hollis and I met at the New York Fairy Festival, and fast track to, I'm visiting them in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And Hollis is like, you want to come to my drag show? And I'm like, I guess.
Okay.
I don't really know.
Right,
And
right.
so finally, drag gets explained to me in a language I can understand. It's theater. And I know theater. I've been in theater my whole life.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I get it. It's theater. It's people expressing themselves, gender bending, artistic expression. I get it. Oh, yeah, sure. I'll come to your show. So we go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which I'm like, this is where the drag show is?
Yeah,
Okay,
Amish country.
I'm super confused. There goes a buggy.
Yeah.
And Hollis is like, well, this is a special show tonight. This is when I met your whole family, the Diers.
Oh.
It's Whitley's birthday. And so we're gonna do a special thing. I'm like, okay. And it turns out that because it's Whitley's birthday, everybody in the show is going to do Whitley eyes. And so you have male-bodied people becoming females, but putting on a beard, and female-bodied people becoming males and putting on. It's just, I felt like I was in Victor Victoria. And the cool part was I was backstage, because as a performer, I am definitely one of those people. You give me a job, I know what to do. Actually, this is a key for anyone. If you have fear, if you have anxiety, if you have anything that's keeping you from being present in the moment, give it a job.
Yeah.
So my job was to help backstage and run out to the DJ and make sure they had drinks and food. And if anything needed to be run from the backstage to the front stage, I was
That's it. You were running.
I had the job that was perfect for me. And I got to be part of this thing that was, wow, this is really cool. And so I go from seeing Hollis doing this crazy Dier show with pull out all the stops, everything a drag show is fabulous for, and seeing the way that people changed how they related to Hollis once they were, is he a he?
Right.
Is he a he? And, wow. And the reason I was in Pennsylvania was because Hollis and I were birthing a new project, a new business called Let's Dance Activities. Because Hollis is a healer. And I was like, oh, here's my music. If you ever need it, if it ever comes in handy, great. Turns out that Hollis, while working at the nursing home, put the CD on and watched the room change from pissed off and argumentative to relaxed and happy and willing to do stuff. And so we started to wonder, like, what would happen if you had a live musician and storyteller in a circle? If you put all the seniors in a circle, Hollis gives them the one-on-one attention, touch, meets their eyes. And I watched how Hollis like used Let's Dance and the drag skills to morph into whoever they were meeting and become whoever they needed to be for that person.
Right.
Isn't that extraordinary?
Exactly.
So I'm playing music and I have my stool and I'm spinning around. And so I can see everyone in the circle. And we've gone into this place and this guy is catatonic. He's just out, gone. And I'm storytelling and I'm singing and I'm playing my music. And then the next time I spin around, I see Hollis, and the man has not only woken up, he is standing, he is holding Hollis and serenading them in Italian.
Aw, that's beautiful.
What just happened? Like,
Right.
oh my God. And over we had people wake up, people open their eyes who hadn't opened their eyes in months. We had people who wouldn't let go of Hollis because they loved the hug so much and they were so starved for it, they didn't want to let go.
Aw.
That's when I would like, okay, keep going, try not to lose it.
Right.
And I would watch Hollis morph and become the young man they dated in college, or
Right.
the young fella I won the jitterbug contest with. You know, they'd always
Right.
tell Hollis what a dancer they had been. It was so profound. And so we turned this thing that seemed like an extraordinary moment into, we did over 500 shows in over 30 states, Let's Dance activities. And of course, because we were going into nursing homes, COVID ended it, you know, and
Right.
someday maybe some version of it will come back in some other, I don't know. Sometimes
Right.
you just can't reinvent the wheel, but
Right.
it was an
Right.
amazing moment, and recognizing how wonderful it is that when you move past the gender binary,
Right.
then we all become people,
Right.
and
Right.
that when we treat each other with that love and respect, what a beautiful world we start to create. So I love that you're doing this show. I love that you're taking the time to let people tell their stories. It's been an honor to be here and share mine.
It's an honor
So-
to have you. I mean, honestly, every story has just been so beautiful. And like, I learned something at the end of it. There's something so good that comes out of it. And to know, and it's like a little time capsule. Maybe in 100 years, somebody's going to come across this and they'll be like, whoa, what was that? That was amazing. That, you know, maybe we're ahead of our time. I don't know, but I think it's just such a beautiful thing. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing your story with me and with everybody. I want to thank, here real quick, you know, beautiful. That was awesome. That was beautiful. Oh, this one was great. I need a cigarette after that too. Okay. And I love hearing all the beautiful stories and seeing all the beautiful people. And this is what it's about, you know, just telling that story and touching at least one person, and then it's worthwhile. So once again, thank you so much for coming. And we're at the end. So yeah, I know it goes by quick, you know, right? So thank you all, everybody who showed up to be supportive and listen to the story and listen to the show. I appreciate you. I love you all. I appreciate you. I love you. And you all have a great night.
Thank you.
All right. Well, here we go. We're going offline. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode on Through Kaleidoscope Eyes. I sure do hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe to the show. See you next week.